Podcast. This is episode 132. We decided to number them because we have to have points of reference. So forget everything we said about numbering them. We're idiots, but we can redeem ourselves, and numbers are better. Tonight, we're going to talk about football. I try and sing some Hank Williams, but you can't do that.
Yeah, you totally could nail that, but anyway.
Maybe. So tonight we're just gonna talk about our predictions for the season, fantasy leagues we're in, our favorite players, the history of football in our lives. This is a meaty bone to chew from. I think we got a lot of stuff that we can talk about. Anyway, this is Tom's show, so Tom, why don't you get the old train running down the track?
What? Oh, there's Jack's picks. Yeah, we're right on the cusp of the 2023 NFL season, which will launch on Thursday. We're recording this Tuesday. I'll see if I can get this posted prior to Thursday. So yeah, a lot to talk about. I want to go through a lot of things like Zeus was saying. I want to get some predictions from you guys. You know, this the generic stuff like, Super Bowl, who's going to win the Super Bowl, who's your sleeper teams. And then I want to go through each of us. If anybody notices, we're all fans of NFC East teams. We got the Cowboys, absolutely. Giants, and who's that third team? Nobody knows.
That would be the team formerly known as the Redskins.
They're green, baby.
They're barely in the league. I think they're going to get
actually.
To,
you know what? I was looking at their numbers from last year, and they weren't great, but they weren't fucking horrible either. They, I think in their last towards the end of the season, they were 7-4-1. They didn't have. I mean, I don't think they're anywhere near where they need to be, but they're at least going to disrupt some other teams.
Yeah, they do that. They're a-holes.
Oh yeah, the same could be said of the Cowboys and the Giants.
So. 2 years ago, the Redskins had the Eagles in hand, and they laid down and let them win, so the Giants didn't make the playoffs.
This is going to be one of those episodes, isn't it?
Yeah. And by the way, I fully admit that for years we were really known as the NFC least because of the mediocrity in all four teams. But those days are done.
Nah. We got a pretty strong little section of the football.
Oh, we're all set.
And not to belabor your point, but the Redskins are in the mix. We got to see. I don't know. And I still call them the Redskins. So anytime you guys want to say Commanders, I'm going to say Redskins, and you just have to know what I'm talking about. Because
that's insensitive.
Fuck that. Fuck that. They identify as Redskins.
The NFC East is probably the best division, really. Not only does it have the best rivalries and everything, but right now, there hasn't been a repeat division winner. What's it been, 15, 16 years?
Yeah.
Maybe even 17 years. And the Eagles were last year's champions. So odds are somehow, some way, they're not going to win the division again. Just by hook or by crook. So one of these three teams is probably going to win the division if, recent history prevails.
Well, I'd like to say that the Redskins have a chance, but we also had a quarterback that walked into traffic and got hit by a car and died. So I don't even fucking know what.
Who are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you? That's a huge revelation.
Was it Hester? I think that Devin Hester,
after he got traded to the Steelers.
Yeah, I think he walked into traffic and literally got hit by a car and died. I didn't know that he had been already released, but yeah, we really, the Redskins really are just about who's hot now.
No, the Redskins are spoilers. That's what they are. They take wins away from better teams. Sometimes they're scrappy as hell and they show up and they win. But They're not going anywhere, Zeus. I'm
They're
sorry,
the
and I don't
scrappy
even, and I
dudes
haven't watched
of the
football like
NFC East.
hardcore in like 2 years, and I know the Redskins are going nowhere. Oh, I'm sorry, the Commanders, the Commanders.
Fuck the Commanders. Fucking, I hate that. I hate it so much. I
All right,
really
we'll
am not a
start-
fan of that name.
I don't know. It's kind of growing on me, but
Yeah, me too.
we'll come back to the NFC
Yeah,
East.
so
in a
does
bit.
herpes.
First, let's start with, and let's go
Washington
NFL
herpes.
wide. So 2023 season, the Washington herpes. Is that what you said?
That's what I said.
Yes, that would be better than fucking Commanders.
Okay, so let's start at the top. I want each of your picks. Who's going to win the Super Bowl this year?
Jesus.
Jack,
I'm
we'll
gonna
start
go
with
with
you.
Kansas City all day
Oh.
long
Why
I mean,
Kansas City?
Yeah, yeah.
because fucking Mahomes is a beast. That dude he's ridiculous. I don't see anything that keeps them they're at least gonna make it into the playoffs and far in. I'm a big fan of the Chiefs outside of my Redskins loyalty, and maybe there's a Native American thing that's going on there, but I like the Chiefs. I really think that there's nothing stopping them. I haven't heard anything about them losing any players, so they basically got the same team they had the last few years, and they're fucking dynamite, man.
There's actually a big hubbub with the defensive end, Chris Jones, who's like holding out. And everybody's saying that's going to be a huge impact on them.
I think that's just smoke and mirrors.
They'll resolve that.
Yeah.
All right, Jack.
Well, okay. As somebody who was a sick, obsessed NFL fan who has tapped out over the last few years, and we can get into that where we all stand with the NFL. I think the last Super Bowl that I actually watched was when the Buccaneers under Tom Brady beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and that was right before we started this podcast. And I know the Rams and the Bengals played after that.
Right.
As far as last year's Super Bowl, who won, who lost? That's where I'm at.
Chiefs beat the Eagles last
The
year.
Chiefs. Okay, so the Eagles were losers
I'll
again.
give you the top. Let me give you the top six.
Okay.
So
What, the
Chiefs are the favorite.
prospects?
Yeah,
The
Okay.
Chiefs are the
Bengals are
favorite
a
to
solid
repeat.
pick too. Yeah.
What's that,
I'd say
Tom?
the-
Chiefs?
Oh.
Chiefs are
The
favorite.
Chiefs are the
yeah.
favorite. The Eagles are second favorite.
That hurts.
And the Bills with Josh
That's
Allen,
interesting.
right? The Niners, the Bengals, and then, believe it or not, the Cowboys are the number 6.
I don't believe it.
betting
I don't
favorite.
believe that for
Don't
a
believe
second.
it. That's fucking bullshit. You're a liar.
No. Hey, I'm looking right at it. The Vegas odds.
Okay, I can't by default. I'm not allowed to pick the Giants because that's
No,
where
you
this
can
whole
pick anybody. I was
podcast
just
would
giving
go.
you the top 6.
No,
if you were
no.
curious.
That's the chalk. That's the chalk.
Yeah.
Assuming things are that close to last year, which obviously they're not going to be.
It never
It
falls the
never
same.
is. So my pick of the Giants is as reasonable as anybody's pick at this point.
Not really.
But
I wouldn't say that.
Dayball's a good coach. I know that from last
Yeah,
year.
and they were charging on at the end.
Yes,
last
they
year.
were. Yes, they were. But if I had to pick from those 6, I mean, shit. I hate to say Philly. I probably would say Philly out of those 6 teams, but I'm sticking with my G-men because that's going to keep me watching. As long as they're in the hunt, I watch. When they're out of the hunt, like most of the last 4 years, I tap out.
Yeah. That's the thing. Are we older or do we have more important things that we're worrying about than football? That's
both.
No, I know my reasons, but that's
I'll give
don't know if you want to get
a
into
sleeper pick.
Okay, good. What do you got?
Well, I'll give you my first pick or my who I really think is going to win. Then I'll give you a sleeper, which has a really good chance to win the Super Bowl that probably not everybody's thinking about. My first choice would be the Buffalo Bills.
Josh
Allen, Stephon Diggs, the defense they got there. What's the coach? McCarthy? No, not McCarthy. Mick something. I don't know. But yeah, they got a good team, good coach, good home field advantage. They usually go deep into the playoffs. They've been like right on the cusp every year. So the Bills, my sleeper, if you want to bet money and potentially win a lot of money, Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep.
Because Jacksonville, they've got Trevor Lawrence, who really came on, Etienne, the running back, and they've got Peterson as the head coach. And remember, Peterson just won the Super Bowl a few years ago with the Eagles.
Jordan
Peterson fired him.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson.
That's
another
podcast. You gotta
podcast.
hate your kids.
No, that's another podcast.
So the Jaguars, possibly. I wouldn't
See,
be surprised.
I didn't say my sleeper. My sleeper is the Bengals. That's part of my heart. I just have always liked the Bengals.
Yeah.
Like, back with Phil Simms was a Bengal. Cam, what the fuck was his name? The guy that came after him,
Wait, Phil Simms was a Bengal?
No, you're thinking of Boomer Esiason.
Boomer Esiason. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes,
they look kind of the same, the blonde hair.
Yeah.
But who was the guy that was with them? Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer was ridiculous. And now they got the ginger. I think he's still with them.
The Red Rifle, is he still there?
No, that was Andy Dalton.
He's not
I think the newest guy is also red-haired. Joe Burrow.
The guy who got
Joe
Who's
Burrow.
the guy? Who's the guy who got them to the Super Bowl?
Joe Burrow.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Not
really
Red
good.
Rifle.
That's just my heart. I don't.
Yeah, no. Zeus out of the 6 teams Tom rattled off as the favorites, I would root for Cincinnati. I'm with you on that.
I just like them.
I think the Eagles are probably the ones, but the Cincinnati Bengals. What I always liked about them,
their uniforms.
No. I mean, in recent years, that division was one of the most violent, scrappy divisions in the league. And Cincinnati was one of the chippiest teams. Their D-backs, their cornerbacks would just knock people into the hospital. Dirty players, scrappy as hell, always took on the Ravens and the Steelers with toughness. Like, they showed up. And I admired them as a fan about that. And then when I saw they were back in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, I was like, good.
I believe that was with Andy Dalton, I believe, right?
No, I thought that was Burrow.
Really?
Tell me,
yeah,
which one of these 4 is the best, like, tandem quarterback receiver in the game today? I'll give you the 4 I think are the top. So Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in Cincinnati. You've got Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs in Buffalo, right?
I know that.
Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson in Minnesota. I believe that really.
Wow, did we screw up?
Top. Another Commanders mistake. I'm going to give you a 4th one, and it's actually not a receiver, a wide receiver. Mahomes, Travis Kelce.
Tight end.
So out of those 4, who's the best quarterback receiver combination in the league?
Me, I'm gonna go Kansas City, but I've always, even when RG3 was there and he was like the second coming, I always liked Kirk Cousins. This is like my heart. Like, I'd like to see Kirk Cousins like take it to the show. Like, he seems like a good guy. Like, in interviews, he not that I'm all about Christianity and all that, but he seems very wholesome and
he's a good guy.
Really is into the game, and he wants to do things, and he's doing it for God. Fine,
No, he's really intense. I like that about him.
He's a cool. He seems like a nice guy that deserves the win.
Yeah,
Um,
backup,
that
he's a
special.
backup. He's a backup that got his shot and he's running with it. And I like that
and
too.
Yeah.
It's a good
fucking good
story.
for him, man.
Yeah.
That's so obviously Mahomes, you got to go with Mahomes. I mean, from a pragmatic standpoint, Mahomes is a beast. He's just a beast. How Kansas City doesn't make it into the Super Bowl this year, I don't know.
Do you
They
think Mahomes with the tight end, Kelsey, is better than Cousins and Jefferson?
but Cousins. So being a Redskins fan, I always remember that, like, when RG3 couldn't play, the multiple times he couldn't play, that Cousins came in and delivered as best he could. He was still growing. He was still establishing himself as a quarterback. And then he goes to the Vikings and starts really like running with it. Like, good on the Vikings for like taking a player that had heart, that had like a good basis. He wasn't going to be like a drug addict and all these other things. Hopefully, you know,
No, he seems pretty smart. Seems pretty
You
smart.
know,
he seems
I'll
like a
tell
smart
you
guy,
what's wrong
but
with
he always
Cousins.
to play.
So Cousins, I
Yeah.
don't think he's ever going to get all the way to winning a Super Bowl because, like last year, the Cowboys played the Vikings, right? And it was like late in the year. Both teams were like vying for playoff position. And this was in Minnesota. The Cowboys went up there. The Cowboys got a decent defense. And once Micah Parsons like went after, like knocked him down early in the game, he got rattled. And he'll do that. It's like he gets scared. If you're like touching him, knocking him down, sacking him, he just starts getting rid of it quick, throwing picks, throwing it into the dirt. You know, he gets rattled if
Yeah,
there's
like
like a
Brady.
lot of pressure on him. And that's not gonna, he's never gonna go all the way. He's very solid, very productive, churns out a lot of yards, but he's never gonna go all the way.
So
But he's
who's
a
your
nice
best
guy.
who's your best combo? The Allen combo?
Yeah, you read my mind. I was gonna say Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Oddly enough, the Vikings traded away Stephon Diggs and brought in Jefferson. Jefferson turned out to be better
Yeah.
than Diggs, but I like Allen as a quarterback getting the ball to Diggs. So I'd go with them.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably go with them. If not, you know, thinking back in my fantasy football years, the Kelsey combo was pretty devastating. I mean, you had to pick a tight end. If you got him, you may as well have had a top receiver. You know what I mean? He's a
Pretty
great
much is.
player. Mahomes can obviously get him the ball. But I like Allen to get the deep ball, and that's how you're putting up the big plays. So I'd probably lean to Allen as well, if I had to pick the combo.
So I'm
But
on an island by myself.
no, yeah, but it's not like you're going out on a limb. I mean, it's not a bad pick.
You could go Howell and who's the Commanders' #1 receiver?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Oh,
Listen.
No, they
You
got
know
a
what?
really
When it
good
comes-
receiver. They got like a top 20, top 10 receiver.
Here's
Can't
my
remember
thing.
his name.
Really, probably the main reason that I haven't been as into football as I have over the last couple years is this show. It doesn't feel, and I love football, don't get me wrong, but right now, where we're at, and I should be Mike talking about this right now. There's more important things to worry about than football. And it's not that I can't research football or research news, but I feel like it just, as much as I love it, and it's been a huge part of my life. I mean, I've won a couple times in Jack in my league. I've won a couple times in Tom's league. I'm a pretty good like football guy.
Zeus, hey, can I before you talk about how unimportant football is and how much
I'm just saying the party is fucking ruining football.
We've got a show in front of us. We're going to talk about football, so all the negatives.
Yeah, why don't we get
Ixnay on the hate football?
Yeah, let's get back.
Football. I love football.
No, we'll
Okay.
get back to like our feelings about football over the years.
Okay, I
think
want to
it's
get
time.
into some of the classic stuff, the stuff that we remember the most, the favorite eras, favorite all-time players, remembering some of those classic games. But before we get to that, so one more last thing for predictions. I want to know what do you guys think your team's going to do this year? Giants,
Yeah.
Commanders, and then I'll go with the Cowboys. Are you going to make the playoffs?
Yes.
What are your chances? Deep run? What do you think?
Yeah,
Shall I go
well,
first, or-
if I could go first, the
Sure.
Giants had a brand new coach last year. They've got a quarterback that they drafted, Jones, a few years before that, as well as their great running back Barkley, right? So they've got that because they lost Odell a long time ago. They lost other receivers. They kind of started from scratch with Dayball and Barkley and Jones. And if memory serves, last year they not only made the playoffs for the first time in a few years, they won a playoff game and they got to another one without winning their division. They were road warriors.
All
I think now that Dayball has been in place firmly and he's put in that culture of football, I honestly think that I think the Giants, if they don't win the division, they're definitely a playoff seed. And I think, I mean, I already told you they're my dark horse. I think that they win. Well, let me be realistic. I think they win. No, I mean honestly, they're going to win another playoff game, and then they may get sent packing again.
This year?
This year, I think they win another playoff game. The Giants are going to be that good. I
Oh,
really
Yeah.
do.
May I interject this? I've I have a rueful respect for everybody in our division. Like I mean, you don't have to like the Eagles, but you got to respect them.
Yeah, they got a
Giants,
good.
and honestly, my opinion, Eli was better than Peyton in certain ways. He was a fucking general. Like, but Eli, man, his team loved him. They did miraculous shit under him. I like Eli a lot. Cowboys, man.
Well,
What
yeah,
I'm
but
doing.
Eli's been gone for a while. They benched his ass.
No,
A long,
but I'm just saying. I respect
and he
the Giants. I
retired.
respect. Yeah. And as far as the Cowboys, dude. So we're doing fantasy. Tom and I have a fantasy league. And man, if Ezekiel wasn't fucking hurt last season, he'd be my keeper. He is a devastating force on the field. And Dak still with him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dak Prescott is a beast. Like, Cowboys are always in it. I'm going to be honest about my team. My team is, like Jack said, we're going to upset people. And there's a place for that team as well.
You just won the division like 2 years ago, right?
What's that?
You just won the division 2 years ago.
I believe
before the Eagles won it.
Yeah, I feel like so to go off of Jack's predictions, I feel like the Redskins have a chance at like a wild card. I wouldn't go any further than that.
They have a wild card.
I feel like I'm glad they're not doing the Schneider thing of buying the best sounding guy and making him into the second coming. I'm liking that they're not doing that. I don't know why that's changed, but there's no names on the Redskins right now that like scream brilliance for me. It's not like the Chris Cooley, Clinton Portis, Darryl Green, like the days where you had that one guy that could change the pace of the game. But they did okay last year. Let's assume they do a little better. I don't know. I don't think they'll win the division, but I think that they could definitely pull a wild card slot. I think our division kind of crushes right now. Even Redskins being at the worst of it, and I'm a huge Redskins fan, but they're not the best. They're just not. But I think they're an upset team, and I think they're going to win. They're going to win some games. that fuck it up for everybody else. And they're going to lose some games where you're like, what? How did you just beat the Bengals and lose to fucking the Raiders? You know what I mean? It's going to be, they're always so frustrating. I mean, it's been a long time since there was a time where the Redskins were the team you would maybe not root for, but go, they're going all the way. Maybe not ripping. I always thought Brad Johnson was going to pull it out, but that didn't work out. I mean, really,
somebody else.
Their claim to fame is the Theismann years, but they're not a slouch in the Super Bowl game. They've had.
Okay, before you get to past eras, we're gonna bring that up.
Sure.
So, Cowboys prediction for this year. I don't want to sound like a homer, but I gotta say they're going all the way. I mean, well, not all the way to the Super Bowl, but I think they're going to win the division first and foremost because they were really strong when Dak came back from injury last year. Like he came back like the 5th or 6th games, and they were averaging 35 points per game all the way through the remainder of the season.
Wow!
And then they ran into the Niners defense in the playoffs and lost it. But right before that game, they beat the Bucks in the playoffs, Tom Brady's team. And that was like, what was it, 31-14 or something?
Dak
is racking up a lot of points week after week after week with Dak in there. Now he does get injured from time to time. That's going to be the problem. And then it's always, if you can stay healthy, you're going to have a chance. And that goes for everybody. But I think they're going to somehow bounce back and win the division. And then, I don't know. For the Cowboys, they've been struggling to get
we got a special guest, guys. Meant to mention
championship game like every year. They can't quite get there, but with McCarthy's taking over the play calling this year. We'll see. Maybe that's going to get them over the hump.
You mean McCarthy as in Aaron Rodgers McCarthy?
Yeah, as in Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers McCarthy.
Brett Favre.
All right.
Guys, let's welcome our special guest.
Wow. Wow, Candy, we haven't seen you since the Cloud 90s episode. Good. Welcome back.
Hi. How are you guys?
Good. What are you doing? You out there listening to like Tool and Perfect Circle? I just watched that episode.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I just saw Pussifer in concert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See,
I'm amazing.
Because I was gonna say she is like trying to bury me in Pussifer, and
they're the best band of all time.
I gotta listen to them. I know Tool, I know Perfect Circle. I'd never listened to Pussifer. I gotta be.
You give Bedlamite a try. Their new album is amazing. It's kind of like 80s kind of style music.
I like that.
It's if you like, I don't know. It's Maynard I think it's Maynard at his best.
Okay.
He's having fun and he sings with the Karina around. It's indescribable. The show was amazing.
That's good. Good. Are you actually are you walking through the parking lot of the show now? Where are you?
I'm walking through the park in our neighborhood.
She's in the back lot of the Joe Rogan Studios.
Gotcha. All right. So Tom, Candy's here to talk about football, I guess.
Candy, do you have a favorite football team?
Yeah, I like the Sharks.
That's hockey.
I like the Redskins. That's the only team I know.
Okay. That would be the Commanders, but that is the Redskins.
They changed their name?
Yeah, they did.
Oh.
Yeah, but Zeus is clinging to the old moniker, so they're still the Redskins to Zeus. So.
I mean, we grew up knowing Redskins, so
yes, but it's politically incorrect now.
Well, I mean, everything is, right? I mean,
yes,
exactly.
We just attach a shock collar to everybody's balls and let anyone at will shock you whenever they deem it incorrect, right?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I tapped out of football, but we're not there yet. So Tom, where are you? Where do you want to move now, man? Do you want to ask Candy, or do you want?
Can I give you a trivia question, Candy?
Sure.
You might get this. I mean, if
Okay.
you watch the Super Bowls just a lot of people just watch them for the party and the commercial.
Okay.
So what Super Bowl number is going to be this year?
Oh, goddamn.
13.
Oh, come on. That was a good one.
I
That
liked
was Cowboys
69.
versus Steelers. What was it?
Those are teams? Okay.
Okay, I'll give you a hint. The Roman
Okay.
numerals are LVIII.
Getting there.
I don't know.
58.
I feel really stupid not knowing Roman numerals, to be honest with you, but let's 42.
No, that was a
58.
good one, but no.
You said it. LVIII.
I figured it was the
So Super Bowl 58 this year.
But hey, way to
58.
go,
wow.
Florida education system.
I'm shit with Roman numerals.
All right,
But you
don't
can
worry
ask me
about it.
anything.
Nobody. It's hard to keep up with the numbers nowadays. They're getting so
I
big.
just said it's 58, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna go back.
Well, yeah, but Candy brought up a good point. I want to live long enough to see Super Bowl 69.
Yeah, see?
It's a
69.
good bucket. It's a good bucket list item for me, so I'm gonna hold out.
If anything, the
58.
commercials are going to be ridiculous.
No, they're gonna they'll get rid of the Roman numerals. They'll just write it right out on the field. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Well, if the documentary Idiocracy, that was the documentary from the future, is any indication, we'll get a nice instead of Fuddruckers, we'll get the butt fuckers ads, and what was the other? Oh, Carl's Jr.
Yeah,
I
well,
love
we're heading in some crazy directions as far as the commercials go. I think things are gonna get, there's gonna be all sorts of stuff like lube, sex toys. That's the direction we're going in for Super
Here,
Bowl 69.
little prediction from Zeus. My predictions have been pretty good. How much do you bet there's a Dylan Mulvaney fucking commercial?
Oh, it's gonna
Bud
happen.
Light,
You
yeah.
Yeah,
Bud Light
no,
always
no,
does
Funny.
Super Bowl commercials.
no, Bud Light's not touching him. But by that, I give it a couple of years. He's gonna have a major Super Bowl ad, no doubt.
Oh wait, Dylan. I was thinking of isn't there a comedian named Mulvaney? Oh, I don't know.
Yes, there
Who's
is.
Dylan. Okay.
Yeah, no, Dylan Mulvaney is
Dylan Mulvaney is the one that single-handedly ruined Bud Light.
Yes, Bud Light.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Did they,
Candy,
Did
you're
they
not
pee
watching.
in the beer? It
No,
already tasted like shit.
no, you're not watching our show, obviously.
No.
No,
I'm not watching any TV at all.
Dylan Mulvaney was one of our heavy hitters. I think
Yeah, it was a good episode. Well,
Yeah.
we had Doctor on, Dr. Ahmad or Amin, whatever his name is. I like him. What's his name?
Sumit Anand. He's a great guy.
Yes, he was awesome. He was great in that episode. But go ahead, Tom, get us
Okay,
back
let me
to
ask
football.
you this then. Do you have kids, Candy?
Yeah.
Okay. So the question for everybody here. So
Are
would
they
you let,
yours?
with all the concussions and everything in football, and that they're trying everything to change the helmet to better technology, and they're trying to reduce the hard hits, and they're cutting back on kickoffs and trying to make the game safer.
Yes.
But still, I mean, those concussions are serious. When these guys retire and they get a little bit older, I mean, some of them can't walk anymore. They can't function. It's really
Right.
tough on some of these NFL players. So would you let your kids play football? Yes or no?
Hmm.
'Cause a lot of parents won't do it anymore.
I mean, what
She's
about
gotta-
Hollywood kid? I mean, I think football would be more fun, right? Like if they all played in little bubbles anyway. It'd be hilarious to watch. You know those inflatable bubbles,
Oh,
like
yeah,
hamster
yeah.
balls?
And just bounce
How
off
funny
of
would
each
that
other.
be? Yeah. I mean, they probably get concussions knocking their head around in the ball. But I mean, yeah, if my kid, no. I wouldn't. I
There's
mean,
a
if they
girl.
really wanted to. Yeah, if she wants to. But I think girls should be able to play with men anyway. At least kickers, right?
Some do. Yeah, there are some
Do
they have
girls on
female
like, the
kickers?
college teams. Yeah.
Yeah, like Kathy
Right.
Ireland in Necessary Roughness. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
But
Yeah, with Scott
Ye-
Bakula. It's a great movie, Zeus. It's
I love that.
terrible.
I mean,
It's
they
terrible.
do make a lot of money, don't they? Don't like football players make a
if
ton
you
of
make
money.
it that far, but
for
you got
those
to take a lot of hits just to get to
Yeah,
that point.
no, yeah, Tom, I gotta
Right.
say, as far as the kids thing goes, like I always thought that like the Pop Warner youth helmet tackle football is crazy to me. Like flag football at that age is appropriate, but the skills for football you can develop at the high school level and be ready for like there's no need. Like if you watch these Pop Warner games, they're not throwing passes. They're not doing anything but bang their heads against each other and one kid gets the ball every play and everybody
Right.
tries to chase him and tackle him.
They're
There's
cute,
no
though.
reason for it at all. I would think high school football, my kids were marching band kids. They are marching band kids. I'm very happy about that. It's safer. They're musically talented. They win the championship every year for like 6 years running. So I'm pleased with that. I would never have them play before high school. And at that point, it's up to them. And they love football to watch, but they never had the desire to play it. And I wasn't like a sports dad that forced that shit on them. But I think once your kid is physically developing and he's going to ride the pine for a year and then he's going to learn the game and then he's going to get to play JV or whatever, like that development, I think is okay. But I think the
And
Pop Warner thing is nuts. I think flag football is perfect for like young kids. I don't think they need to be banging their heads together. I really don't.
for sure, yeah. Little,
Yeah.
I mean, and the college football. I mean, I don't really, not expert here, but they make more money for the schools, right, than
Yes.
these college kids are getting.
Technically,
Yeah.
that's been changing. I think they're allowing a few more endorsements with.
Yeah,
like,
they are. They are. But
Um,
it's basically the free minor leagues of NFL. I mean, that's what it is, and that's fucked up too. That's a whole other.
So, Tom, if I may ask you a question, you guys have seen Ollie, and last time you
Yeah.
saw him, he was like a foot shorter. He is interested in football.
Basketball.
Basketball,
he's
yeah.
already doing basketball.
That's good enough.
But he's interested in football, and there's this little part of me that's like, "Fuck yeah, man, own that shit." And I think he's got like for all his other, and I love my boy, but for all of his other idiotic decisions, he's a really good athlete. Like him at his worst at basketball, he's still getting like 6 rebounds a game.
He's a big kid.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He can throw a ball. He can catch a ball. If he goes into football and he goes into the right position, I'd be fine with it. Maybe wide receiver or I gotta say a quarterback. He's got
No, quarterback.
Quarterback. Those are relatively safe positions. They're very protected. It's not like running back where you're just bashing your head against walls constantly. So he's
do the people run on their back?
But dude, what's that? Oh,
do they call it? No, I'm generally why they call it that.
Because they run with the ball. They're a running halfback. They're behind. Yeah, that's what it is.
Quarterback.
It's not like you're getting tackled and people run on your back, so they're fine.
I know.
I know it sounds stupid, but I
like behind the line
there's
of
a lot
scrimmage,
of
they're
that.
all backs. So you got the fullback, halfback, quarterback, all the people that stand
So,
behind the front line.
You guys,
they're all backs.
From Tom and Jack's perspective, the last time you guys saw the kid, he's not running back material. He would get broken.
No, but he's tall. He can see over the line. So
Right.
quarterback, can he throw a football?
I mean, this goes back years, but we used to throw the ball. He could catch it. He could throw it with pretty good accuracy for not like having any training, just playing with dad. If he wanted to be in football, as long as I could, this is when I would get active and like how can I be part of the team and how can I, be involved? That's when I would like get super active. But he's an athlete. Like I never pursued my athleticism, but when I was in high school, I was running a 4.54 mile. You know what I mean? Like I've got athleticism. My wife is definitely athletic.
You're both big, tall people. I mean,
Yeah,
you're athletic.
He could do some damage in either of those positions. So I would probably go through like a emotional quandary of, do I want to put him at risk? Probably watch a few games, watch a season. Hopefully he doesn't get injured. I think Ollie, you guys know him. He's confident. He's got a fierceness in his athleticism.
Also if he's a smart kid, and quarterback requires smarts to read the defenses and
wide receiver.
That's actually something I wanted to ask you. Most of my any knowledge I have about football is probably from that show, The League. And what is that test? There's a test they have to take. It's actually kind of hard. So you actually have to be smart to be a football player, yeah?
Combine?
No, that's the quarterback test, the Wonderlic test.
The Wonderlic, that was it.
What's that?
Yes.
It's like 100 questions they have to do in like 10 minutes or something, and it's really, really hard.
Yeah, that was the Ryan Fitzpatrick episode. I remember that from the league, because he was
sometimes
he was like in Harvard
really
or something
bad, and then they'll turn out to be great quarterbacks. So
he was a Harvard guy. He was a Harvard guy.
Right. And Harvard, that's the other thing I know, is that didn't football start in Harvard?
I don't know if it started in Harvard.
Probably.
I think it came from Harvard. They used to play without helmets.
I thought it was Ohio.
I'm pretty sure it was Harvard.
You might be right. You might be right.
Yeah. I mean, I have to look it up. I just more into history, so.
Yeah, I think it started in Canton, I think.
That's
why the Hall of Fame is there, right?
That's what I thought, but she may be right. It might have been Harvard. I mean, they're brilliant there, so maybe they invented the game of football because they're so smart. That's possible.
I mean, or they, did what Americans do best and stole it from someone else.
They might have been the first.
No, Candy. We conquered it like everybody else.
Yes, the conquers. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
Right.
It's a conquering.
Like everybody else since the beginning of time. They conquered land. That's what they did.
And that's what the whole game is about, right? Is conquering land?
Yeah, that's
okay. All right. Okay. I'm catching on.
Watch out for Russia and China next. But anyway, it's different. That's a different show. Go ahead, Tom. What else you got?
I'm kind of with you, Jack, in terms of, I think once they get to high school, I would let them choose for themselves. I also agree with Zeus. I can't say I wouldn't be proud if my son went out there and made the football team.
Sure.
I'd be hell of proud, Dad.
I mean, ultimately, doesn't it come down to, like, if your kid, if that's really what they want? I mean, you want what's best for them, but you also want them to be happy.
We let them choose. We're not going to be those,
right.
What do you call it? The stage dads who push.
Right. That's pushing them, and they don't even want that.
Oh, that's the worst. That's the worst,
they're not going to be
man.
any good if that's the case. But
no, the sport.
But I'd really be worried about injury, even at the quarterback position. That one, Brett Favre talks about he would have like concussions all the time. He'd be calling. He wouldn't even know what was going on during the game, but he could function out there even with a concussion. He could still kind of call plays and throw the ball, but he'd come off the field and be like, I don't remember anything that just happened.
Yeah, and Brett Favre. No, go ahead. No, Brett Favre. Brett Favre. If memory serves, Brett Favre came back with the Vikings and almost got to the Super Bowl, and the New Orleans Saints put out a bounty on who could F him up the worst and win the game by beating him, and they beat the living snot out of him. They got in trouble with the league for Bountygate. The
Greg
coach
Williams was the defensive coordinator.
Also the head coach. Greg Williams was the defensive coordinator who orchestrated it.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Payton, the head coach, signed off on it or was aware of it.
Sean Payton's with Denver right now, right?
Well, all I know is the Saints went on to win that Super Bowl, and Favre finally retired. Like, he got the snot beat out of him so bad that he was done. And he almost won another Super Bowl. I mean, honestly, if the Vikings got past the Saints, the Vikings were going to win that that Super Bowl.
They beat the
I have no-
Cowboys that year in the I think in the playoffs.
Yeah. So
They
Favre
ran over
was
us.
Favre was an amazing quarterback.
I remember
Am
Greg
right?
Williams. They had that
Yeah.
recording of him. He was he kept saying, "Affect the knee, affect the knee."
Yeah.
I'm a huge
So-
Favre fan. He
was a good player.
He was
Who's
epic.
who's the best football player of all time then? Like who's the
No, Tom
The
Brady.
GOAT.
Good segue.
Tom Brady.
wait,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like new, right? Like he's the
Like
Tom
the
or not
Brady,
best
new.
or our
He's
favorite?
alive, yeah.
Yeah, he's
So like
alive.
of all living and dead, he's the GOAT.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
he's
agree.
totally the GOAT.
Tom
I don't
Brady.
like
Is
him
there
at
a
all.
reason?
Well, he
Because
won like
he's fucking amazing.
seven championships, and he was responsible for all of them. Like on his
Oh,
He is. If he came back today, people would think that he had a chance.
Well, he also played till he was like 42 and won a Super Bowl in his like the guy was a machine. He was
He
the
really
best.
is.
so
really
stats
is.
wise, he's the best like ever.
No,
So
some
here's
people
the thing.
He has all the
No.
records.
You
Oddly
can go
enough,
back to Terry Bradshaw, who was a beast.
Yeah, Bradshaw. He had a great. Yeah, Bradshaw had a great team though.
Peyton
just the other
Manning.
day, Joe Montana came out and he said that Dan Marino was the greatest quarterback of all time.
That's an argument that is definitely valid. You got
Never-
best
never won.
football players of all time. If you're not, you almost always have to go quarterback. But like my guy,
Some
28.
running backs and receivers.
My guy,
Well,
28.
I know.
Gerald Green was a game changer all the time. Art Monk, I'm going a lot of Redskins here, but Art Monk was a beast. No, like Art Monk was a freaking phenomenal receiver.
He's in the Hall of Fame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Daryl Green, Hall of Fame. Like, I'm not trying to like milk the Redskins thing. Like, I mean, you want my currently, man, Patrick Mahomes is just he's insane. How old is he? Like 24, 25? He's got a lot of years ahead of him, and he's already won what, 2 Super Bowls? He's a beast, man. He is probably the next Tom Brady as long as he stays uninjured. But Tom Brady is the GOAT. He is, I don't like him. I think he's an asshole, but man, that guy, he could coach. I would not be surprised if he coaches later on and goes on to win a few Super Bowls with the team.
Nah, he's going to be in the booth, I think.
Maybe.
That's good though. Like if you think somebody's an asshole, but you still appreciate them as a player. I mean, that's kind of the problem anymore is people get canceled because people think they're an asshole, but just because you're an asshole doesn't mean you're not good at what you do.
No,
Brady's got a
I
team.
think with football, they've never shied away from somebody who's like nowadays you get more in trouble for being not politically correct. And if Brady, if nothing else, kept his opinions
To himself.
on those issues to himself. Like he was very cagey.
Smart.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Like I said,
he wanted to talk about football, and that was it. And that was a guy whose whole personal life was in the limelight with Gisele Bundchen and the kids. Like
he's kind of a creep. He's kind of a creep outside of football.
Why
I
is
think
he?
so.
Why was he?
Yeah,
a
what do you
creep?
do?
Well, didn't he like bail on like his first kid's, the first baby mama? Like just, I'll pay for
No.
it, but I'm not involved.
No, he didn't. He didn't. That was with Bridget Moynihan, right? That was the actress that he had the kid with.
I feel like I heard that he wasn't as supportive as somebody with his wealth could be.
I didn't hear that. I heard that he was actually pretty good with that kid, but I don't know.
I think that's the issue with him. I think with him, it's kind of like the Michael Jordan type of being an asshole.
Yeah.
Where it's just he's just so competitive, and it's just he can't tolerate.
And if
being
he's as good
around.
as you say too, right? Doesn't that kind of play in? Like the better you are, the more you are in the limelight, the more rumors get spread about you.
Jack and Tom, but I don't like him. I just think he's kind of an asshole. But
I kind of
there's no argument that he is, to use your term, Candy, he is the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time.
I kind of love his story too, because he was a backup quarterback that had to
Mhm.
share time in college. He was drafted in the last round, like six
Like a
quarterbacks were
sixth-round draft
drafted
pick.
before him. And he was a backup that only got a shot because Drew Bledsoe got hurt.
Mhm.
Drew
And
Bledsoe was great.
he led the Patriots to their first Super Bowl ever, and then another 5 or 6. I can't even
Right.
keep track at this point.
Yeah, yeah. He's
And
the
he was
GOAT.
he was a field general. He got in people's faces. He was fucking loud. On the
And
field.
how about the players that he made greats that were not
Yeah.
necessarily greats? Like, what's the one wide receiver that he brought down with him to Tampa? I want to say it was like Julian something.
Julian Edelman.
Yeah,
Ju-
Edelman would have never made it with
No.
anybody but Tom
Mhm.
Brady.
Well, what
Wes
about
Welker.
Wes Welker? Yeah, he was another one. He was a
Yeah.
throwaway from the Dolphins. He was
Like, these are guys that would
Yeah.
not have been that, but Tom Brady got into their heads and made, like, Edelman is a huge example of how good Tom.
I think you
You're
froze,
breaking up
Zeus.
a
You
little bit,
froze
Zeus.
it.
But what I would say though, and this will probably go into our next
Brady
thing.
was
So
as a
I
leader.
do
'Cause
think
Edelman
Brady's the best
fucking
ever.
blew
and
up
I'd
once he
say
got
that
under.
I don't
What,
think
Tom?
that record of the number of Super Bowls that he won will ever be broken.
No.
I don't think anybody's ever going to do that again.
No.
And so that was going to be one of my questions was what other record will never be broken?
Not anytime
Probably
soon.
like
Maybe
the Emmitt
Mahomes.
Smith record, because nobody has like that single bell cow running back a lot anymore. That may never be broken. The rushing title that Emmitt Smith had.
Yeah, but you know what might be part? I mean, I don't know what you think, Tom, but isn't part of the problem that nowadays when they draft one of these running backs like Ezekiel Elliott or Saquon Barkley with the Giants, it seems to me that they just beat the shit out of these guys in the first 4 years of their career.
Mhm.
Like they just give them the ball
Like
so
grind 'em.
much.
Yeah.
And they don't share the load with them because usually when they draft these great running backs, their team sucks and they're just relying on that running back to be the horse
Yeah, yeah.
constantly.
I know I'm
And
going to pull up the Redskins here, but Clinton Portis was a beast.
yeah, he was a great
Clinton
player.
Portis he could have, if they wouldn't have just dragged him through the mud every chance they got, he could have crushed for another 3-4 years. Clinton Portis was a monster.
Mhm.
He is, I don't know if he's Hall of Fame, and if he's not, it's because of how they managed him as a team. I think he will be Hall of Fame, but that guy he did things that you didn't see on the field. He was amazing. And not a Super Bowl. I don't think he ever made it to
No.
Super
No,
Bowl.
not even. He was with
Probably
Denver
the
before,
playoffs.
and they didn't. I don't think he won it with them either.
I think the lock that he made it to the playoffs. What, he came from Denver, right?
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah, he was with
Oh, I'm
Denver.
sorry, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. He was a monster and not a big guy. He was just so fluid on the field. He could like get in the gap and fucking tear away. And he was fast. Yeah, like I'm a huge Portis fan. I wish I had a Clinton Portis jersey because that guy was a beast. But yeah, I mean, there's so
And
many.
there's a
Candy,
few
when
of
you get
them.
down to like who's the best, it's really hard to nail down. Like I think Terry Bradshaw is one we can all agree was a monster. He was a general. He brought the Steelers into the limelight, and then even in his commentating years, he seems like a genuinely likable guy.
Mhm.
Like you can see why people gravitated
Very
around him.
popular. Maybe one of the
Yeah.
more popular players.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
With the 4 Super Bowls.
Elway was a big one like that. Like Elway was a monster too. I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves either. But then again, he's also a team owner, so maybe he does. You know, he's at
I
least
get confused about so the teams they're in each state, right? There's one team per state,
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Sometimes there's more
They're
than
in
one per
division.
state.
but
Even
there's a
like New
certain
York City has two
tribalism.
teams.
Oh, they have two? Oh,
Yeah, the
well,
New York Jets and the New York Giants.
okay, is that like for New York State and then Manhattan kind of
Yeah,
thing,
Los
or
Angeles has
Actually,
like the Los Angeles
the
Rams
Yankees
and
and the
Los
Cubs,
Angeles
or
Chargers.
okay?
There's
Well,
not
I
one.
get confused about the tribalism that comes along with it,
I don't think
because it's not like the people in each team are from those towns, right? Like,
No.
Right.
so they're
No.
all from like all over the place, and it's just who gets picked.
They're like mercenaries,
So
basically.
Yeah.
right, and then like these wealthy guys pick who they want, like through the drafts, right? If I don't know if I'm saying this right, but they, sorry, can you hear me? So they pick each other. So I get confused about the tribalism within cities and the fans.
I don't.
They get obsessed with the
it's
team,
more
but really those
tribalism
players aren't.
between conferences. Yeah, the NFC and the AFC. So the tribalism in football is way more about conferences and less about. No, you disagree, Jack?
Yeah, I think she's right. I think it's the teams. I think that, but there's almost like, it depends on where. There's some places that are notoriously antagonistic to other tribes, let's
San
say,
Francisco.
other fans of teams. Like Philly is notorious. But
San Francisco, I would say, is pretty
I
strong.
think the way that fans embrace their teams, and then when they go to games or sports bars or whatever, and they encounter
fight each other.
fans. Well, no, they don't fight each other, but there's a lot of
Sometimes.
there's a lot of bravado, shit talking. But it's also kind of a bonding thing, because a lot of times you'll go to a sports bar or a game, and the guy's got the jersey of another team or a team they're even playing against, and you'll sit there and you'll talk about the game and what about that player, and he sucks. Oh, but he's good. I respect him. Like, guys have a good time. I think that's part of the draw of football, is that we're basically like little tribes, and like we're like little kids. And most people get along. You know, you add like 10 pints of whatever, and the game and there's a huge upset in a playoff game. Then the tribes might get into a fight. Plus, I'm sorry, I don't care whether it's a rock concert or a football game or a sports bar. There are just people that are out looking for a fight.
Right. Like,
exactly.
For instance, in our conference, maybe Cowboys Redskins, there's a bit more volatile feelings, but like Redskins and Giants, I think have always had kind of a amiable
mutual respect.
Yeah. Philly, they're fucking maniacs. If you want to know the team that is in most of the fights that Jack was talking about, it's Philly.
Yeah.
Philly, and
of course, it's always Philly.
Yeah, no, well, no, the old stadium where they used to play before they tore it down, there was actually a courthouse and a jail cell in the stadium. Because there were so many like issues, so many fights would break out, that the municipality, the city of Philadelphia, had a branch of the courts in the stadium. Like, that's a fact.
Isn't Philly famous for like throwing batteries at Santa Claus?
Oh,
like, they're just beasts. They're just fucking monsters.
Well, wait a minute. Was that? No, that was Philly, I think. You're right. That was Philly.
Oh, yeah.
That was Philly. Yeah, no, the Giants were throwing
Last I
ice.
heard, Santa Claus is not a football player. So they're just
yeah, they're kind of jerks. Well, also they were on a big. Philly sucks. I'm sorry, it's worse now than it was before. As a city.
Yeah.
As a city, it's pretty.
It's getting
pretty
gross.
Terrible. Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah,
you know, you mentioned stadiums. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, yeah, the tribalism. I think, yeah, it's really like the teams, and because if you see like a player go from one team, so you can hate Deion Sanders when he's with the Cowboys, and then he goes to the Redskins, and then all of a sudden you're like, yeah, hey, Deion, he's with us now, and then you love him all of a sudden. So it's just kind of, it's just your team, you know, and
so they just adopt them. It's the team, not so much the individuals.
Yeah, the
players
that are
don't from that hometown.
Yeah.
So you mentioned stadiums, and is it New York is spending like $850 million on a stadium,
Mhm.
right? Don't they spend this extravagant amount
that.
of money, and it never really comes back to the cities,
Oh,
Well,
you know?
I don't know.
I
it
mean,
might.
I think it kind of does, because you have not only all the people that are employed by the stadium, and you have all the revenue that comes into the city when people come from far away to go see a concert or a game or whatever. So, like, if you look at LeBron James with Cleveland, Cleveland was like an apocalyptic movie before LeBron James went back to the Cavaliers, and all of a sudden, the entire area around that arena, there were like corporate stores and major sports bars and restaurants and people selling merch. Like, it turned into like this thriving economy. And
Yeah.
then when he left to go to the Lakers, that place turned to shit again. Like, it
Right.
totally.
So the question is do they recoup that money to build?
well,
Like, do
he
you
came
think
back,
that
so yeah.
When you build a new
my
stadium,
question is,
so
do you
like
think that the taxpayers should pay for a stadium when these billionaires are the ones that own the team?
I think so,
I
because
don't.
the city
I mean, don't
benefits
you
a
think
lot
they
with all the tax money, and so
Yeah,
when you
they
build
do,
a
but
new
they're also
stadium,
allowing them to
like
play, and they make a lot of money too.
like what
So
Los
part of
Angeles
that
just did when they built SoCal Stadium, right? So when you build a new stadium, the NFL will give you the Super Bowl the next year. And when the Super Bowl comes to town, you're talking billions of dollars of revenue just for that one event.
And think
So
about this.
you get a lot of money
Candy,
that comes back into the
allow,
city.
allow me a second, Tom. Think about this, Candy. Think about all the minor business owners that come up with a T-shirt that says Cleveland rocks and like make a buttload of money. There is sports are actually, I think, good for cities.
You
they
get a
could-
cease and desist for that, but okay, I
Exactly.
get what you're saying. You can't just make a Cleveland shirt. You'll get a cease and desist if
You
you
know
start
what?
making
You
money.
know what? You've never been to one of these games. You can most certainly make a Cleveland shirt and sell it and sell a fucking buttload of them. I mean, jerseys alone, like this jersey is real, but you can go in front of a game and get a jersey. It looks as real as it can and pay a
I think it would be funnier if it looked really bad on purpose, don't you think? I mean, if you're gonna get like a fake shirt anyway,
if you're gonna
No.
take an
like it should be
antagonistic-
ridiculous. Cleveland misspelled.
you're just not into sports. Sports is
No.
sports in its own right is a tribal thing, and like so if I go and buy a jersey, I want the real jersey because A, it's a collector's item, and B,
Okay.
it's real, it looks real. And if you go in front of a game, you'll find 50,000 fake Redskins jerseys that look just as good as the originals, but there's like thread count shit, and like we can bury ourselves in that, but that's a
I have dad's Buck shirt from like 1988 or something.
yeah. Shirts don't make money, jerseys make money.
No, jerseys do. That's so the shirt.
Yeah.
Would you
Okay.
guys agree?
There's like a lot of little cottage industries that pop up around the sport.
Yeah, so
like the
there is
jerseys,
money to be
fantasy
made from
football,
Yeah, the
the-
collectibles, they're
gambling,
huge.
the
everything.
Funkos.
Whoa, wait a minute. You just mentioned that in passing. Gambling.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
Candy.
gambling doesn't bring revenue to a city, does it? I mean, necessarily that
I don't know.
is the
I
house
don't know.
always wins.
I don't know. Maryland has now got a casino, and they do all kinds of sport betting, and that's right across the river from me.
I would
I
say
think
what
I
it
think to
does.
dismiss what a football team can do, or any sports team can do for an area, would
Yeah, it's
be
huge.
irresponsible.
It's
Um,
huge.
to now, granted, when the team is losing, but even then, even a losing team, man, they got a vicious fan base that
Yeah.
insists that the Raiders are going to go to the Super Bowl this year, or insists that Jacksonville is going to, insists whoever is not going to make it there is still going to make it there. And then they fight about it. They bet about it. They sell jerseys like a motherfucker.
They smoke weed about it.
You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
Read about it.
I don't think you can just dismiss football as like leeching off the city that it's in. I think football actually, and or sports teams in general, actually provide a lot for the communities.
Yeah.
That it's in.
I agree with that. I
Yeah.
agree with that. And then also, when you think about football in a city, it's just what's great about football, which is why we all like are passionate about it. I certainly was. I'm less now. It's only a 16 game regular season as
Yeah,
opposed to
it's,
like
it's the
baseball.
shortest season of any sports.
Right. And also, only 8 of those games are at home. So each home game is a friggin' concert. It's an event. They
Yeah,
fill a football
75,000
stadium. I
people
mean,
in a
like,
stadium. Yeah,
you're talking about tens of thousands of people showing up, buying concessions, buying merch, buying beer. I mean, like it's amazing. And then when they get out of the game, they want to go somewhere and they go to whatever's around. And so they're putting money in the pockets of like, business owners, entrepreneurs, and obviously the city and the taxes and everything else. So football is special in that way. It's why out of all the sports, because I was hardcore into all of them. And the last few years, I'm not now. I really just don't. I don't have as much of an interest, and I don't feel like I want to devote. Like the problem with a baseball, football, each game is a 3 hour involvement. It's a 3 hour experience. And
Right.
when it's Sunday and I only have 2 days off a week, I don't know that I want to sit there like I used to, obsessing about every NFL game and the spreads and who I gambled on in a parlay. Like I just kind of like I can't do it anymore. Like I maybe when I'm really old and all I can do is watch television, like I'll get back
Right.
into it. But at this point in my life, I'd rather just do other shit. You know what I mean? But I was pretty fanatical, like no doubt. Like I was nuts.
My my biggest or my first introduction to football was how many times it interrupted The Simpsons. Right, as a kid.
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean, right,
no,
like.
Candy, I'm with you on that because when I was a kid in New York, I hated the New York Yankees because I had my like weeknight lineup on the local channel that aired the Yankees. And it was 11 o'clock was the Odd Couple, 11:30 was the Honeymooners, midnight was Star Trek, and 1 in the morning was the Twilight Zone. And if the Yankees
Oh,
game went long,
Oh yeah.
they would just shove everything for the news and they would cut out some of those shows. And I was
right.
an I was an insomniac and I was like,
Right.
fuck, no Star Trek tonight. Like
Oh,
goddamn me. So I became a Red Sox fan. Like I embraced the
right.
sport, but
Because
I went with
didn't
the
interrupt the
rival.
Twilight Zone.
I went with the rival. I went with the rival. That's how I became a Red Sox fan.
I like Chris Hardwick said you might as well call the Twilight Zone nice try, asshole. Because I'm sorry, nice try, asshole, because every episode is this guy goes, I can do this, and then
Right,
nope,
right. Oh,
the universe
oh,
comes back. Nice try,
right.
asshole.
Almost
Yeah,
like a
it's a
monkey's
lot of
paw
them. You're
sort
right
of
about that.
situation.
Yeah.
You're right about that.
All right.
I love the old Twilight Zones. They're
Oh,
great.
it's great.
I
Yeah,
think that
Tom,
was a good
what do you got
episode,
next?
Jack. I think we can probably we lost Zeus somewhere along the way, but
Well, I'm just looking at the text line, and I thought because it's only 11, it's early for us. Mike had brought out something. I thought this was interesting just from my own perspective. I don't know how you feel, Tom, because you're still diehard. But he was talking about caring and not caring, which is just what I was just talking about. Part of it was like life got in the way for a while. But even when I had my 4 kids and I was lucky enough to be, up there and raising them and all of that,
Cool.
I was still a hardcore football fan and I got them into it. And at some point
Right.
I tapped out. And I think a lot of it, Tom, for me tapping out, I got sick of the politics in football.
mhm.
Like I really got sick of it bleeding into the game. Like what was like, how we've done 130 plus episode on politics, right? Episodes. And I don't know when it started. It might have started with Kaepernick. It might have started before him. But when they got involved with endorsing certain political, like the woke shit, like whether it was Kaepernick kneeling for the anthem, and then it was Black Lives Matter, it was the pride flags on the field, it was two national anthems, one white and one black. Like I
Yeah.
just got sick of the preaching when I just wanted to tap away from all of that and
Right, it's an escape. You don't want to. You're escaping the
yeah,
world to watch it. You don't want to have to see
escaping.
it
Yeah, like right
bleed
now,
in.
yeah, like I read to escape, whether it's a Batman comic or like I'm reading Neil Gaiman's book American Gods finally, which came out like 20 years ago, and I'm like, it's
Good series.
fantasy. Like
Oh yeah.
I don't want all that stuff on the football field and in the broadcast booth and even ESPN, which I used to religiously watch. Now it's just a platform for
Yeah.
whatever the political correct wins are right now, and everybody's
I mean,
preaching
I,
it.
I mean, you could say it's political correct wins, but you could just say it's politics in general
It
because
is. It is.
it
No,
all it is. The politics are all there, both
yeah,
sides, or to
yeah,
divide. As
but
long as people are divided and pissed off, because nothing gets people motivated more than
But at
rage.
least this is
yeah,
a
but why?
controlled microcosm. Like football is a controlled microcosm, for lack of a better term. It's a point in the year that you watch, and then when it's done, you might talk about it for a few weeks before, a few weeks after, but it ends. We're not raging about it. We're
No, but Zeus,
Right.
why does all the other bullshit have to bleed onto the field of play? Like why do they have to have like the NBA, same
Right.
thing. When they started putting like political phrases on the backs of jerseys, like hands up, don't shoot. You know, fuck
I,
you.
I
I'm
get
not
I, I get what you're saying. Like for there
I
needs
wanted to
I
watch
mean,
this because I wanted to watch people beat the shit out of each other for a fucking hour.
right.
yeah.
The
No.
neutrality is gone. So it's like by inviting yeah, it's I don't I think I'm sorry, but that's a whole like thing that bothers me about the MAGA movement is since when
At
are
least
we
it's
not allowed to
politics.
make fun of politicians? Since when has it become a cult of personality rather than just policy that you vote
Wait a
for and
minute.
move the fuck on?
Well,
Uh-oh.
Candy, that's a whole other episode. But I think the I think the MAGA people make fun of politicians all the time. They're just making fun of
They
Yeah,
politicians
there's
on
a
the other
lot of
my
Joe
side.
Biden
I literally had a man threaten to punch me in the face because I said that Trump's neck looks like a vagina. And it does. That's
Yeah,
not
but
an opinion,
no,
that's a fact,
that's fine. But there were
and it's
people
funny.
shot. But there were people shot and killed in 2020 for wearing a MAGA hat or wearing a Trump
Uh,
T-shirt or being part of a
You know
prayer
what? We're not
group.
going to do this. We're not going to do this. This is about
I'm just
football.
saying.
but no, that kind of is my point. Like
It
that,
goes
I
both
mean, that kind of
ways,
dives right into my point. Like well, yeah, of course it does. That's
right?
the whole point, is that as long as everybody's pissed off and
Yeah,
mad at the left or mad at the right, they're not
right.
paying attention to who's really
We're
fucking
just
us
like
big time.
hornets in a nest that
Well,
got
right,
poked with a broomstick.
Yeah, because
and can
rage
and
sells
Candy,
like sex.
yeah, and Candy, that's my point. When I watch football or basketball or hockey,
You don't want to
I
see any of that shit.
I want to shut that off. Like I
Want to
like
Right.
like
see
we're
the controlled violence.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, like you would
I
just
want to
you're there for this reason. I don't give a shit.
yeah.
Like yeah,
I've
I
made
don't
the
give a shit
statement.
what somebody's
I've made the statement
politics
before
are.
that football is like modern day gladiatorial.
Yeah.
It's all about watching the carnage, and then you know what? When it's done, you go and have another beer, eat some
Right.
nachos, and fucking
Right.
move on for 6 days until your next game comes up.
Well, and also Zeus, as far as watching the carnage and the physicality, that was another reason I started to tap out of football because the rule evolution, it just became the pussification of football. Like I remember Lawrence Taylor snapping Theismann's leg, and as much as it was horrible to watch, back in those days, you could sack the quarterback. You could knock a wide receiver on his ass without it being a flag.
And
You could get away with a lot more. And now it's kind of like every play is a flag.
you know
Every
what?
play
Here's an interesting aspect to that. There was a kindness actually in football at that time because when Lawrence Taylor snapped his fucking leg, Lawrence Taylor was the guy that said, "Get in here. I fucking hurt this guy." Like Lawrence Taylor was a solid dude. He was like
mosh pit rules.
really hurt.
Yes.
But that was
Okay.
when they were making 80,000, like the best fucking football player was making like 80,000 a year. Now they're pulling in six figures, and by the end of their careers, they're even more.
Yeah, but now they'll throw a flag for taunting. And if you watch the old NFL films, the shit talking that went on.
Taunting was the best part.
Right. There's a show. There's a show called Letterkenny.
I know Letterkenny. Okay.
Have you seen the episode where they put all the shit talking the hockey players do on film, and that's the best part of the game is how they talk shit to each other. I feel like if you just let them do what they're going to do, let them talk shit, it makes it way more entertaining.
Yeah, totally. Instead of flagging them, and they flag touchdown celebrations, whereas they used to be celebrated, like they would do all these elaborate choreographed dances and shit.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Okay.
Yeah, they can't.
Like I was saying, the hogs with
they can't dance anymore.
No, they can't celebrate excessively. It's taunting.
The Hogs with the Redskins, the Smurfs. I'm using Redskins references, but all teams had it. Like the Hogs.
There's a team called the Smurfs. That's my favorite.
No. It was like I think it was their receiving corps, like Charlie Brown, Art Monk.
You mean the Peanuts?
Wait, what's happening? Are these real things?
Anyway, guys, to bring it back to what we were talking about, I think we should go over our picks because.
Really?
Well, we did already. But to answer your question.
No. Our picks for this week coming up.
No, we're not doing that.
Okay.
That's like a week
by
private.
Week. That's private.
Daz is running that show. That's not. Nobody cares.
I'll make picks.
Who we think's gonna win.
I pick Gargamel.
But I would say, yeah. I mean, I still care about the game.
Yeah.
There are things that are annoying about it, like you said. I think since 2020, the politics are really, and there's the end racism in the end zone of every field. Now you've got the women umpires are out there, and the women assistant coaches, and it would be okay, but I don't like that they highlight those coaches in particular and not all the other.
When it's forced down your throat, it's like
every those annoying things are there, but I still care about the game, and I'll still watch it like every Sunday. Even
it's only
the worst Sundays are the ones where like there's the game in England on Sunday morning and you get up and it's like 9 a.m. and you're watching that game, and you watch the 1 o'clock game and the 4 o'clock game, then the Sunday night game, and then the Monday game. It's just a whole thing for me. And I can, and to me, the only time I turn it off, like Zeus was saying, was if the Cowboys lose, especially if it's like a real bad loss.
Is that your favorite team?
Yeah, because then I just can't. I don't want to hear anything about it at that point. But as long as things are going well and they're winning and things are just kind of going normal, for me it's like every day. So there's the Sunday game obviously, and then Monday through Friday I'm listening to the podcast like every day. Every day they're like updating on injuries or who's in, who's out, what's going on. They have press conferences with I would listen. My favorite guy to listen to is like Bill Parcells when he was coaching the Cowboys. His press conference, and you probably remember when he was with the Giants, Jack.
Yes.
His press conferences, that should be like a primetime TV show just by itself.
Great. He was great.
So I watched like all of those, everything.
So
and then it's like year round. It's not just like after the playoffs and the Super Bowl, then you go into the draft. And you go into free agency and then the summer camps.
Yeah, Tom, I was there,
dude. Year-long thing.
I was there. I watched I had the TV on all day into the night, all night. Right. I used to run. I ran a football pool with every pick, every spread.
Man, that was the greatest.
I was in fantasy football leagues. I ran fantasy football leagues, like the whole. And then I realized, like, I had a health scare. It took me out of the game for a season, And then I came back, I tried to get back into it, and I realized the investment of time
Mhm.
that
I
it
was just thinking when
I
he said
can't
all
help
those
it, though. I
games,
can't
it's a lot
help
of
it.
time.
Yeah,
Well,
it
It
so-
takes
was
a lot of time,
it-
but I
it's
just can't resist it.
it's a passion, it's a hobby, it's a pastime, you know, I get it. But now I'm a Giants fan. I watch the Giants. I'll at least watch the first 6 weeks if I can. And if they shit the bed and I know they're going nowhere, I'll tap out. You know what I mean? But if they're in contention, I'll watch. That's kind of
Yeah.
how I look at it
So
now.
you know
But I
how to
don't.
put you know how to put it down. And you're like, you know what? This
Yeah.
is causing more stress than joy. I'm done.
Yes,
So-
yes.
I have two questions I want to pose. One of them is so political, and then the second one is more nostalgic. The first question is, how long do you think it's going to be before we have a transgender
Oh Jesus.
cheerleader?
We already have.
Oh, we have? Okay,
Yeah.
so fair enough. My
Okay, that
second
was
question-
easy. Next question.
Well, I didn't know.
Yeah, I forget what team. There was
And we've
one
long
had
as
last.
it-
gay, we've had
Dylan Mulvaney.
I mean, the
homosexual
question-
players as well.
Doesn't the question pose, is she hot? Like,
I don't-
would you know if it's a man or a woman? Like, would it matter?
Yeah, you wouldn't
Eventually
always
you
know.
would.
Would it
I mean,
matter?
yeah,
That's
as soon as they do a
wait.
high kick and you see some, a moose knuckle, then that might be a little alarming.
Oh, no, moose knuckle is a female reference. You're talking about
No.
friggin' bears.
Camel toe is female. Moose knuckle
Yeah,
is
moose
balls.
knuckle is also female. Trust us, we're guys.
I don't know. I
So,
never heard
so
of
hold on.
it.
So wait.
Moose knuckle is balls. Moose knuckle is when men have like at least a top little.
Anyway,
I have a joke for you though. I have a
Okay.
joke for you.
okay.
Okay.
All right. Man walks into an elevator and he says and he sees a woman there and he says, "Can I smell your feet?" She looks at him and goes, "No." And he goes, "Must be your pussy then."
Oh wow!
Ah!
See, yeah. Now Tom's got to edit this now. See what you did.
So here is my second question, and this is way more football fanish. And I'll get mine first, but what is your like hallmark football game, the one that just stands out as one of the greatest games you've seen?
Easy.
For me, I'll do mine first. And I will give this guy credit all day long. It has got to be Redskins, Broncos. I want to say it was 92, where the Broncos came in and they scored in like the first 16 seconds. They were so ready to win. They were, everybody was like, they're going to win this game, even though the Redskins were the favorites.
That was like 88. Because the
Nah.
last Super Bowl you won was 91.
Oh, yeah,
with
you know
Mark
what? You're
Rippon.
right. You're right. It was late 80s. Probably like 86, 80, 88, something like that.
I would say the
Uh,
87,
but-
88
but-
season.
Doug Williams, who,
Oh, yeah.
as far as I'm concerned, is a legend.
He won a championship.
Yeah, he won the Super Bowl that year. They beat the Broncos, and I believe that was Elway's first year. I'm not, don't quote me on that, but came back. Jay Schrader sucked so bad that even though Doug Williams had a broken ankle, they pulled him back into the game to take it home. For me, that's the epitome of a great football game. To go in 16 seconds, be behind, and just crush it. And it was a fight. It didn't just,
Yeah.
it didn't just end there. There was back and forth. That was a great Super Bowl. Anyway, what's yours, Tom?
I got a few, well, all Cowboys games. Believe it or not, some of the most memorable games to recall are games that the Cowboys lost. Super Bowl 13, 35-31 against the Steelers was the last time Staubach was in there.
Yeah.
Cowboys came close, ended up losing that. Then the 1981 NFC Championship against Joe Montana, the pass to Dwight Clark, the catch, quote unquote. Another great game. Again, Cowboys lost that one. Probably the game I would say, and it wasn't a Super Bowl, but the NFC Championship game against the Niners. I want to say like 94, 95, probably the one where the Cowboys, it was in Candlestick Park and the Cowboys came back and won it. in the second half with that pass to Alvin Harper, Aikman to Harper. Yeah, because those games between, if you remember that era, the Cowboys versus Niners, everybody would just be, okay, this is the Super Bowl. Whoever wins this is just going to crush whatever AFC team is unfortunate enough to be in there against them next week.
Yeah.
But it was always that Cowboys Niners game that whoever won that, everybody knew, okay, that's the champion. So
Yeah,
probably
was
that
that
game.
now that Niners team that was the Ronnie Lott defense, correct?
Yeah, he was still there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he was talking. You guys were talking
I
about
think that
one
was
of the
like
best.
Steve Young had taken over at that point.
That's just our best. What was our favorite?
No, I just remember. Well, I mean, for me, the game of games, February 3rd, 2008, in Arizona, Super Bowl 42, Giants defeated the undefeated Patriots. That was the game.
Yeah.
That was the best, most enjoyable, most memorable game. And I was around for the Parcells wins with Lawrence Taylor, Phil Simms, Jeff Hostetler, but the Giants laying it down and beating the snot out of Tom Brady and snatching that undefeated season away. And it was Eli Manning. It was a very young Eli Manning. It was a
Beat
very
the
old
Cowboys
Mike.
that year.
It was
Cowboys
a
were number
very
1 seed. You guys were like a wild card team.
I'm a
We were the-
huge Eli fan.
Well,
I
also
really
that
like-
was Michael Strahan's last year. Tiki Barber had retired before the season started because he hated Coach Coughlin. Strahan stuck around for one more year. He said, give me one more shot. Strahan said, okay, I'll do that. That game, it was a low scoring game. It was a defensive battle, but they kept Tom Brady at bay just enough to give Eli a shot in the last minute and a half of the game. Plaxico Burress made the catch.
Wasn't that like a Hail Mary kind of play too?
No,
It
you're
was
talking
like a
about the
fourth
David.
down. Oh wait,
No,
which
you're
one?
thinking of the David Tyree helmet catch, where
catch.
he caught it with one hand.
That was
Yeah,
like a fourth down play, right?
You know,
yeah,
it's
it was. Yeah, and
another.
he had what's his name covering him, the great cornerback on the Patriots. I can't think of his name now. Oh my God, he became a TV personality after that. Why can't I think
Rodney
of his
Harrison?
name? Yes, Rodney Harrison. He had Rodney Harrison draped all over him, and he caught it with one hand against the helmet. I'll never forget.
Yeah. You know, it's
Yeah.
another. I can't remember the game. This is more of an infamy one because it felt like the NFL was bought and like they were paying for the one that they wanted to win. And it was, I want to say it was Cowboys and Steelers. And there was this one pass, like in the middle of the game.
Neil O'Donnell. Yeah.
Yes. Why don't
That
you
was the
explain it?
95 Super Bowl.
Yes.
Oh my God.
He threw it to Larry
It
Brown.
looked like such a
He threw
bought
2
game.
picks like that.
Yes, I
Yeah,
remember
but
that
this
game.
one, there was nobody
Everybody's
else
like,
around.
who
It
paid
was
him
like
off?
it was thrown to this. I want to say it was the Steeler. And man, that one infuriated me. That was when I started to lose a little. Lost a little luster for me. I was like, okay, these things can be bought because there was no way.
No, it's just
No
Neil
way.
O'Donnell was not that good. That was the problem there.
Right.
Yeah, he was terrible.
It's so funny that you knew the one I was talking about because it was so egregious.
I have a question. I watch American Dad, and they on American Dad, they're obsessed with stadium football. Is that like a real thing?
Arena football.
Arena football?
Yeah,
it's like a
arena
small
league.
little.
Yeah, they play in like
that's real.
Yeah, you can bounce the ball off the roof. It's a whole different game.
And they have Johnny Concussion as like their favorite player.
No,
I don't know who that
I
is.
don't know who
Arena
that is.
football.
I mean,
is
I
a
don't think he's
thing.
real.
Yeah.
I think in the show his name's Johnny Concussion.
Well,
So he always gets a
the show.
concussion. They knock him out in every game.
Well, I don't know, but the hero, the superhero of Arena League football went on to win the Super Bowl. That was Kurt Warner. He was an Arena League guy.
Kurt Warner is epic.
Is it more dangerous? That's why, because the way they were making out in American Dad was like regular arena football, where it's so
American
small.
Dad
It's
is
way
Family
worse.
Guy. It's all extremes. You can't base any Fact.
It's not more dangerous, or I've
Got
never.
an
I hope-
alien living in
No.
the living room. Let's be realistic. But no, I mean, I get where you're coming from, and it's humorous, but yeah, you can't. Football is, for lack of a better term, it's a serious sport. There's a lot of thought that goes into what they deliver. I think less lately with all the politicism, like what was the name? The San Francisco guy, Kaepernick. Like that
Yeah,
kind
we
of
talked
that
about
was kind of the beginning of the end. And
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, Jack.
and I don't actually hate the guy for his stance. I just hate that they politicized yet another thing. What's next? Like we're gonna have like Republican Campbell's soup, like it's just, can we, or Democratic Campbell's soup? The point is do we have to politicize everything? Can't we just have some things that are what they are?
Yeah, we talked about
Yeah,
that, Zeus.
we hit
I
that.
think
I
you
think
had
were
a
at the
bathroom
but
break.
We went through that.
I made peepees.
We might be at the end. Any last?
I think
Yeah,
so. Jack, do you have
well, I
any-
don't know,
any-
Tom. You're hosting, man. You all set?
Yeah, I think this was a good episode.
This
It was
a
great.
good episode.
It was a lot of fun.
Hey, Candy, thanks for coming on. You're in the shadows.
She's always in the shadows.
She's like a Commanders fan.
No, now she's frozen.
Remember the Saints fans used to wear those bags over their heads? That's what the Commanders fans
Yes.
are doing.
Okay, Candy, you're frozen, but we were glad to have you back
Thanks
on.
for having me on, guys.
Of
Yeah,
course,
it was
of
fun.
course, Candy, anytime.
It was an interesting episode to have you on, but
Yeah, it was
it
very
was
cool.
certain sense of humor that I wasn't okay.
That's
All right. No, she's back. All right. Well, we have been on for a while, everybody, so I think it might be time to wrap things up.
Yeah.
Go Giants.
Go Redskins!
Commanders.